In a landmark ruling Friday, the Supreme Court sided with fishermen who challenged a federal government rule that required them to pay $700 a day for, quote, an at-sea monitor.
The justices overturning the so-called Chevron precedent, a legal theory that fishermen say in this case gave the government too much power over their businesses.
So here to react is one of the plaintiffs in the case, Seafreeze Limited Fisheries Liaison, Megan Lapp. Megan, so great to have you on. So why don't you start with this? So there's these monitors that the government said you had to have on the fishing boats. You had to pay them $700 a day to be on there. So what exactly were the monitors trying to do? What was the government wanting to collect from you guys on that, on the boats?
So federal law requires that we take these monitors and they collect biological data as well as enforce fisheries regulations. We take them and we comply. But what actually happened in this case was that the government wanted to expand its own program and have more monitors on our boats, but did not have money from Congress to pay for it. So they forced us to pay for these monitors' salaries out of pocket. Like, who pays directly for the salary of a government employee?
Yeah,
and
crazy.
And the reason that your case forced a total reconsideration of how we approach government regulation, why it brought the quote-unquote Chevron precedent back before the Supreme Court, is that this wasn't something that any elected official ever required of you, right? This was outsourced to the administrative agencies, and in your case, all of a sudden, doubled the amount you have to spend on monitors.
Yes. And what really the problem was the agencies just completely overstepped their legislative bounds, but they know that they have deference in the courts.
Yes.
So agencies continue to push the line of their legislative authority. They keep pushing it further and further and further, knowing that the cases will never get heard on the facts. Our case was never heard on the facts. We never had like a real discussion about the facts of it because the courts just defer to the government.
Yeah, and that's why this is so significant, is that what's being overturned is the deference in the courts through this. Meaning, when a business like yours brings a suit because they believe something's unlawful, effectively the system was rigged for the government in the past based on these regulations. Now, what you believe will happen is a court would have heard your argument and said, well, that's absurd, it's not in the law, it would send it back, right?
Right. And really, this is just a return to the inscription above the court that says equal justice under law. U.S. citizens finally have an equal standing before federal courts with the U.S. government. We finally have a level playing field, and that's going to change the game very substantially.
Can you just speak just a little bit about how it directly affected this industry? What that was causing, in terms of lost wages and profits for you?
Well, can you imagine having to pay out of pocket a government employee on your boat, but that employee may be making more per day than your crew? How do you think that feels in a business? How do you think that feels in a small confined space at sea? Not great.
You're paying for the government employee to sit there and monitor.
Who's already making a lot of money themselves, yeah.
All right, Megan Lapp, we appreciate you being on with us this morning and for fighting for this, which really was a landmark decision for the Supreme Court of the United States.
Congratulations.
You saved your industry, but you're
so
probably going to
much.
save other people's small businesses as well. So we're really grateful.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, China mocking the president.